Commissioner Meyer.
Here.
Commissioner Vita.
Here.
Vice President Hassan.
Here.
President Bourne.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, we entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the caveat that we might, if we have no Secretary Ringgold, are there any speakers signed up for open time as of right now?
Let me confirm.
If there are no speakers signed up for for open time, I would ask that we move the agenda without the inclusion of open time.
There are no speakers.
All right, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of open time at 5:30.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The agenda is approved. Deputy Superintendent Ringgold, is there anything under reports of officers this evening?
There are a couple of items.
Okay, would you go ahead?
In environmental management, researchers from the U of M will be doing milfoil genetics research on Lake Harriet and Cedar Lake a number of times starting this week and into September, depending on weather. In forestry, the recognition of his 40th birthday, Elmer the Elm Tree is making Sunday appearances at the Minnesota State Fair Parade. In the equipment shop, 15 trucks that have approved state contracts were ordered on 8/28, 14 to 16 weeks to get the first 15 units. So we'll get those in mid-December.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Ringgold. Moving on to unfinished business, I would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-265, captioned as follows: authorizing, as it relates to the Adventure and Welcome Center at Theodore Wirth Regional Park, the execution and amended agreements between the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and the Loppet Foundation by extending the indemnification clauses in the donation agreement dated September 7th, 2016, by and between the MPRB and the Loppet, and in the transition operating agreement for the Adventure and Welcome Center. Outdoor dated September 7th, 2016, by and between the MPRB and the Loppet, and adding a provision to the default section of the lease agreement between the MPRB and the Loppet dated August 29th, 2018, in exchange for accelerating the acceptance of the donation of the Adventure and Welcome Center and to address the water main break at Theodore Wirth Regional Park. Is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, or if Deputy Superintendent Ringgold and Council Rice could give the board a brief presentation on why this is before us? I think if there, Commissioner Musich, I'm going to ask for the presentation first. So Deputy Superintendent, if you'd like to lead us off.
Thank you, President Bourne, Commissioners. So what you have in front of you extends the indemnification clause of two of the agreements we currently have with the Loppet Foundation. Is the transitional operating agreement. That agreement includes the trail work that was occurring in the back 40 area, close to the Sweeney Twin Lake area of Theodore Wirth Park, to extend snowmaking equipment when the Loppet's contractor hit the water main in that area and caused the break. The donation agreement indemnification clause would also be extended by this action, and the intent is that those two are partnered, and so extending both of those indemnification clauses means that we would continue to be protected against any actions that come to address fault and recovery of funds related to that water main break. The donation agreement also covers an electrical issue that we have kind of behind the trailhead building that was the result of construction, where the electrical line was accidentally snagged as basically redistribution of soils was happening to do some soil correction in that area. The part that addresses the default clause of the lease agreement basically allows for a clear measure of how you as a board and as you would direct to staff, could move through a default process with the Lopet Foundation if we weren't able to come to resolution on these two items. So it's providing you with protections and making it clear that you're indemnified against these two incidents.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. Council, do you have anything to add before going to board comments and questions?
I think the Deputy Superintendent has covered the points well. The reason there's some urgency attached to this is that the AWC has been open and been operating for a period of several weeks because of these construction issues. The water main break that was done under the transitional operating agreement and some building issues. The lease was supposed to take effect when the donation was done, but there are a few, I guess the best way to say, there's some loose ends with the construction of the building. Mr. Schroeder has felt that those are minor issues that can be dealt with in due course, and there are things that might happen, like happened at the Phillips Pool and Gym, where there were some punch list items that needed to be taken care of, and instead of delay or close down the facility, it would make sense for us to take the building, then enter into the lease with the Lopet so that they could be the tenant. They're going to donate the building, and simultaneously we'll lease the building back to them. The bigger concern has been this water main break issue that occurred last November that we're trying to seek resolution to. Under our agreements with the Lopet, they are supposed to defend and indemnify us for anything that occurred on any permits that they took out. There appears to be a disagreement as to whose fault that break is, and I guess we're going to have to see what time will tell us who's responsible. What we know is the park board is not responsible. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
Thank you, Council Rice. Commissioner Musich.
Thank you. I was just wondering when the necessary repairs are anticipated to be made that are holding up the execution of the full agreement. Do we know that information?
Can you state the question again? I didn't hear.
When do we anticipate the work to be done that is requiring this change to the agreements?
President Bourne, Commissioner Musich, the water main is already repaired. The city of Golden Valley has already made those repairs, so it is functional. The parts that remain to be addressed with that issue is who is at fault and who pays for it. So that could take several months to sort out, and the insurance companies are engaged on that, and we'll need to work that out. The electrical aspect that is more related directly to the building, I might invite John Munger, the executive director, to come forward to provide a sense of where he's at with the timeline on that.
President Bourne, Commissioner Musich, yeah, we're working through that with the contractor right now. We have now have an additional electric company out there reviewing it and giving us a bid as to how much it'll cost to get it done, and we're going to be proceeding on getting that fixed over the next few weeks.
Okay, so sometime by the end of September, you're anticipating that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's necessary for our operations over the winter, so it has to get done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only question I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Musich. Are there any other questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, I just have two questions for council. The first question is, there has been some discussion on the Lopez Insurance Company defending the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board. Has that come to resolution? Has there been, is the Lopez Insurance Company agreeing to defend the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board on the assessment from Golden Valley?
I think the answer is no and no. I've asked Mr. Munger to arrange a meeting. Golden Valley is interested in meeting with the Lopet. EJ Mayer is the company that the Lopet contracted for to do the irrigation work that broke the Wilton Valley water main, and asked their insurance companies to come. I've not heard back from Mr. Munger on that. No, not aware of any action on that front.
Mr. Munger?
President Bourne, Council Rice, that was 4 hours ago, I think, and I have,
That's not correct.
and
I
I-
can send you an email today, Mr. Munger.
well, it was yesterday if it wasn't today, and I have talked to the insurance company, and they are moving on that, so.
We've not heard that.
Mr. Munger, they're moving on that I think our last conversation was last Friday. Is there anything different from that conversation? Is your insurance company agreeing to defend the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board on this assessment?
They have not come to resolution on that yet, that issue, but they have, I did talk to them about setting up this meeting, and they are
Okay.
moving forward on that.
What information, why haven't they, we're listed as an insured,
Absolutely, I
Party, correct.
agree with you completely, and I'm, well, I can't speak for the insurance company, I guess, but I can tell you that you are listed as an insured. We've given them the information. The person that I'm dealing with at the insurance company is not authorized, she says, to make that determination, and it's with her higher-ups.
if we're listed as an insurer with your insurance company, and your insurance company is not agreeing to defend us, what actions are you taking to make sure that your insurance company lives up to its agreement to defend us as an insured party?
Well, we've sent them a letter, we've sent them emails on it, we've called them numerous times, so we're doing everything we can on it, I believe.
Okay. I'm just a little concerned with what might be the lack of responsiveness from, not from you, but from your insurance company in this case. Council Rice, has in any communication that you have seen, has the Loppet's insurance company agreed to pay the $106,000 for the damage to the water main to the city of Golden Valley?
No.
Okay. If we pass this agreement and fault is determined to be placed on the Lopet, and their insurance company does not pay, and this assessment is still against the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, what happens? Can you play that out for me?
If I think I understand the scenario, you're saying if the if it's found that either Lopet or Lopet's contractor, E.J. Mayers, was the responsible for the water main break, and the insurance company refuses to pay Golden Valley could assess the park board as the property owner, and the board would then be in the position of having to either pay the assessment or contest the assessment. If the insurance company refused to pay, and the board would then look to these agreements. The indemnification provision continued in the transitional operating agreement, the donation agreement, as well as the event of default provision to ask Lopet to pay the board.
Okay.
If the board is out of pocket, we would look to Lopet to pay,
Okay.
based on these agreements that you're approving tonight.
Okay. And you're comfortable that in a determination of fault if there's a determination of fault against the Lopet, that I hate to use this phrase, but the Lopet would be in an actionable position by the Minneapolis Park Board, the way that these agreements are spelled out?
I would say it goes even further than that. I mean, they've made a clear promise to the board when they pulled the permit for the work that E.J. Mayers did under the permit that the board had, they're supposed to repair at their own cost any damage that occurred. They also have an agreement in the transitional operating agreement to defend and indemnify the board for any damages caused by anything that they or their agents did, and as well as the general indemnity provisions. So that was our understanding with Lopet, that if something happened on that property, they were responsible, not the park board, regardless of fault.
I those are all of my questions, Council Rice. Commissioner Vita.
Mr. Munger, so after just hearing this, I'm wondering, is the LOPIC gonna pay for this if the insurance doesn't cover it?
If the LOPID is found to be at fault and insurance doesn't cover it, which I would be flabbergasted, yes, we would pay for it.
Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, I would ask Secretary Ringgold to please take the roll.
Commissioner Musich,
Aye.
Commissioner Cogill,
Aye.
Commissioner Severson,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Vita,
Aye.
Commissioner French,
Aye.
Vice President Hassan,
Aye.
President Bourne.
Aye.
You have 8 ayes, 1 absent.
The motion carries. Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I will just ask if there's anybody in the audience that is here this evening that had intended to speak during open time. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we are adjourned.